Hello and welcome back to our third episode of Discover WCC. Today we have Mr. Tim Eargang, instructor of auto collision technology with us, and his student Jacob Ray from Rushville High School. This is a monthly show to expose the public about our offerings we have at the Career Center and various programs and opportunities we have for students that are currently there and prospective students. Mr. Eargang, we'd like you to highlight a little bit about your program and talk about the things that are exciting that you're doing in your auto collision program.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. The auto collision program is a 2-year program, mostly comprised of juniors and seniors, but sometimes sophomores. What we try to teach in there to start with is we kind of use our curriculum to align with the industry standards. We'll spend time in the classroom going over some of the stuff that we're going to practice and demonstrate out in the lab. I'm going to say we probably do 80% lab work and 20% classroom. It keeps the challenging for the students to try to figure out how to repair our cars and different projects we have. Tools, we have all different kind of hand tools that they get introduced to, from screwdrivers to pliers to whatever. And then we'll move on up to grinders, sanders, buffers, paint guns. We do a little bit of framework, pulling. We have a real nice frame rack. We do welding. We purchased a new welding, was that 2 years ago we got that?
Yes.
So that's been a great addition. What they can get out of this is they can get some certifications of finishing the program in 2 years. If they go to skills, they can earn certificates there, and they also can earn dual credits, which can transfer to Vincennes University.
Are you aligned with industry standards that are currently being used in automotive collision centers around the area and the greater United States?
Yes, we are. We use an ICAR curriculum, which is the basics that the whole collision industry is set up for. So I try to touch on as many of the ICAR procedures that I can.
Okay. What types of equipment do you use on a daily basis with your students?
Again, we use a welder. We use paint guns. We use grinders, sanders, buffers. We also detail cars. That's part of the curriculum also, because once a vehicle is finished in a shop, it has to be detailed. So numerous tools every day.
Okay. We all know that you work to fix cars, and everybody knows that that's a necessary skill and service in our communities. What about it don't people understand, and the complexity that goes along with auto collision repair?
As you said, it's very complex. A lot of people think, hey, I just take my car there and it's fixed, get it back new. But the complexity is number one, you got to analyze the damage. Got to be a very good problem solver to figure out how to repair the damage, and not only to make it look good, to make it safe. So, you know, when the families get back in it, you're comfortable if they have another accident or something, that it will be safe. Attention to detail, probably the biggest thing, and your problem solving.
Okay. Do those translate well, those types of skills and problem solving skills translate well into if they pursue this as a post-secondary option through tech schools such as Uno in Northwest Ohio, or Lincoln Tech, or whatever trade schools they may pursue?
Definitely. If they've already took my program, then they're ahead of the cycle. There's a lot of people that go into the post-secondary that hasn't had this. So the basic stuff that they have will help them, and that way they can move on to greater procedures quicker, and will help them understand how to get to that spot.
What job opportunities do we have here in our local area for your students?
Well, there's several body shops in the Connersville area, and they're hunting for technicians, but also there's several parts stores It helps. The program will help if you want to go into parts. We have insurance companies that are looking for, again, adjusters and appraisers. So there's many opportunities, such as detailing. All the cars, that are being sold have to be detailed. So lots of opportunities outside of just the collision technician part.
Okay. What personal qualities, if you were going to describe your ideal student that actually pursues this as an occupation, would you want being a business owner and an individual, even if the skill level is not to a journeyman level?
Probably the most important would be your attendance. If you don't show up, it's hard to teach. You got to be you got to have some good soft skills. You got to relate to customers. Somebody that's really detail oriented, attention to detail, and are good at problem solving. Every day when you're working on a vehicle, there's problems that pop up, and you just need to be able to figure it out. So problem solving, attendance, attitude, just the stuff like that would really help, and a little bit of energy.
Okay. Some students may be intimidated by the artistic side of thinking about painting and finishing and dent repair, things that you do on a daily basis. Should there be concern about the artistic side, or do you feel this is something that most people can learn?
Well, really, you don't have to be artistic, to be honest with you. I'm not an artistic person as far as, I can't draw or anything like that, but I can paint. What the artistic part will do for you is broaden your opportunities, like if you want to go into custom painting, airbrushing, or something like that. But the artistic value is not that important, but they are intimidated just because it is an art type career with your painting and stuff. So they are intimidated, but if you stick with it, you can definitely become a technician.
So you would probably say that quality work is more geared towards attention to detail and accepting things as being right, as opposed to just God-given artistic ability.
Definitely, yes. You got to care. You got to want to do it. You got to have pride in the work you do, and that all comes with attention to your detail.
Jacob, what's a typical day like in your classroom?
Usually, we start out, get into the classroom, do a little book work. After that, he tells us to go get ready, get dressed. We go out into the shop, and usually if there's nothing specific for us to do that day, we have our own little projects that we work on. Right now I'm working on a Chevy Tahoe, applying body filler, sanding it down, making it look to the original contour. And if you can't do that, we also have a virtual painting machine. So there's a lot of stuff to do out there. You're never bored.
Okay. Mr. Eargang, what are some projects the students are currently working on? I believe we have some pictures that we'll show.
Yeah, the first project we're working on, this is a 2017 Jeep Wrangler that was purchased to repair. It was a rollover, it was a totaled vehicle, and we're going to put this back into a rebuilt vehicle that will be as safe as it was before. Something else we're working on, we have a 2013 Tahoe that we are trying to finish up and hopefully sell it someday. It belongs to the school. So, and then we have a Fiero that was donated, and we're repainting it. So there's several projects in there. We also have a truck bed that has some rust on it that was donated to us so that we could practice fixing some rust. So plenty of projects. It's not hard to find projects to do. I just got to be careful of what I bring in and make sure the students are interested.
We have a couple pictures of paint booth, which is an integral part of your program. That's basically the catalyst where all your paint's mixed so it can be sprayed. Can you describe what we're seeing in these pictures that are being displayed?
Yeah. The first picture would be of our paint mixing booth, and when we have a vehicle that we have to paint, there is a paint code assigned to that vehicle, and we would find the paint code. We would go to our computer, we would type in the paint code, and it will tell us what toners we need to use to mix this paint for for a proper paint match. So that works out pretty good. That can also transfer into like working at Lowe's, Walmart, or anyone that sells paint, that they mix it the same way. So that helps out there. And then once we get everything mixed and we're ready to paint, we put it in our paint booth. There's a door that's hanging in the paint booth at this time that was painted for another Jeep that we're working on. And this is a very nice state-of-the-art paint booth. Even though it's older, it is a downdraft heated booth. So that is really super nice, and the kids really enjoy using the paint booth. I think it's one of their favorite things in there.
What opportunities do your students have during the program and after they leave the program regarding work-based learning opportunities, job placement? What are you seeing happening with your graduates?
We have a co-op program at the school, and when I have a student that qualifies for the co-op program, they can actually go to work 4 of the days of school. They can just go to work instead of come to school, and then they just come in on Mondays for their co-op class. If they qualify, they can go into a shop as an apprentice, and they will be trained to be a technician. Again, there's auto parts stores, paint mixing places, plenty of opportunities for after graduation.
Okay. What can students do after they finish your program? When they're done, where are you typically seeing your students go? Are they staying local in body shops, or are they getting into other industry where painting's needed, things of that nature?
Both. Some will stay. Again, I got a couple of students I know that have went into factories where they refurbish machinery, or they're building machinery, but it still requires the painting skills that they've learned in my class. Some of them go on to the post-secondary schools, and some of them just go to the regular college to get the business side of it also. So kind of all spreads around, no specific place, but most of them, if they want to find employment, they can use what they've learned to do so.
What colleges are you typically working with? Who do we see in visits and presentations to our students?
Several colleges, UNO, we have Ohio Technical College, Lincoln Tech, Vincennes University, of course, who we do our dual credits with. I think of Baker College. So there's plenty of opportunities for the kids to get exposure to a post-secondary school if they choose to.
Okay. Who should consider enrolling in automotive collision?
Anyone that likes working with their hands, fixing things, people that are, they could be artsy, as you say, people that just don't like to sit in a chair behind a desk, like the activity and the challenge of repairing things, and somebody that's really attentive to detail.
Okay. What advice would you have for younger students to prepare for it? Is there anything they can do to kind of expose them to this, or is this something that they just have to enjoy being hands-on and learn it as you go?
Well, of course, anytime if you can work with tools, or if you get the opportunity to do that, you're ahead of the game a little bit. Again, when you come into my class, I will start out teaching you hand tools and keep going from there. So the more, I guess, schooled you are with your tools, the better off you're going to be when you come into my class. And math, math and English are probably the 2 biggest things that you should know. We do a lot of measuring. You have to read instructions. You have to know ratios and stuff like that. So math and English are very, very important for my program.
Okay. In your classroom, you mentioned that you're roughly 20%, give or take a little bit, on classroom type material and 80% hands-on. The 80% carries the validity of the 20% you present with your students, correct?
Yes, yes.
So it's all applied from what is gained in content knowledge.
Yes, in the classroom we do our content, and then we go out and apply it to what we've talked about. With
that structure, obviously you deal with chemicals on a daily basis with pigments and different clear coats, things of that nature, stripper for paint materials. What type of safety preparation are you giving your students?
Well, at the very beginning when they come in, we go through our safety training, which is a broad range of safety, covers a lot of things. But each one of my topics that I go through, there's always safety involved, whether it's mixing paint, whether it's using a buffer, a grinder, or whatever. I always go through the safety part of what we're going to do when we go out in the shop. So safety is always a big concern, and we hit on safety pretty hard.
Recently, I believe last weekend, you had some students compete at Skills, and one of the requirements to compete in that competition was that your respirators had to be certified to go. Is that correct, with 3M? And they came in and actually looked at how they fit. How does ventilation and proper air for students come into play for that competition? What's their, I guess, point in that inspection?
Well, again, we're definitely dealing with chemicals. Any chemical, as you know, if you breathe, it can be harmful. So, again, 3M came in, made sure our paint masks were properly fit. We have dust masks that we use on a daily basis if we want, so that we don't have to breathe the dust in. So, definitely air quality. And we mentioned our paint booth earlier. We have a downdraft booth, which really is the top-notch booth in the industry to keep safety.
Okay. One other thing that I wanted to touch on is we used to be very boastful that we had a water-based paint system that was given to us, I believe, through PPG a few years ago.
Correct.
We have since went back to regular pigments. Why did we go back to regular pigments if water-based is kind of the future of the automotive industry?
A couple reasons. One, the water-borne paint is a little more expensive, and the pigments inside the water-based, they will go bad after a certain amount of time. They will get outdated. So obviously we're closed all summer long, and we're not a production shop. So the toners would set, and they would get outdated, and they would need to be replaced. So we would just have to, if we wanted to replace a toner, we'd just have to throw the other one away and buy a new one. The solvent-based toners have no shelf life, so it doesn't matter if they set all summer, 2 months, 3 months, 2 years, that are still available to use, and they are correct.
Sounds good. Typically, are they going to see the solvent, or are they going to see the water in industry in our area?
In our area right now, it's probably about half and half. Most of the bigger shops will have both in their shop. It'll be according to what they're working on, what the particular job calls for, but they will usually have a solvent and a water base in their facility.
Okay. All right, we're going to switch gears here a little bit, and we're going to involve Mr. Red here for a second. Or Mr. Ray, I'm sorry. What made you want to enroll in the program?
A lot of stuff that made me want to enroll in the program was when I was younger, I liked to paint bicycles, skateboards. Always liked taking stuff apart, putting it back together. So that's part of the reason that interested me in the program.
Okay. I've had some interesting conversation with your dad here in the past few weeks on a few things, and his perspective of your attitude as a student towards school as a whole has changed since you've enrolled in the Career Center. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Last year, I wasn't very interested in school. I'm not the guy that likes to sit behind the desk for a long time. When I came to WCC, like you said, it's probably 20% time in the classroom, 80% time out in the shop. So I just like being hands-on. I missed a lot of days last year, and now this year's attendance has went way better. I haven't missed as many days. So.
Well, that's good. So you would say you're more engaged with your education overall?
Yes, for sure.
And that's good for both Rushville and for us as well. So that's a great thing. What have you learned in the program up to this point?
A lot of what we've learned, he said we do a lot of, the main thing would be painting. We have a lot of welding. We sand. We learn how to blend with the paint and stuff, mixing paint. So it's a broad spectrum of what we can do in there, but probably
what's your most important thing you've learned?
The most important is probably painting. I like painting. I like learning how to blend the paint, how to make something look nicer. So.
Okay. One of the things I like to look at when we walk through programs is what are students learning that they can take with them regardless of the occupation they pursue. What's something that you feel like you can take from your program that you've learned from experience, Mr. Eargang? Could be a life lesson, could be a technical skill that you think you can take with you no matter if you pursue this as a career or not.
One thing that Mr. Eargang likes to really go hard on is work ethic. You have to have a really good work ethic if you're not going to wake up, go to work, try hard, and really do everything you can do to get through the day. Then you're not going to be successful in your work or what you're doing in that career.
Okay. What's your favorite part of the program?
I'll go back to painting probably. It's really fun. I like learning the new techniques, the skill it takes to be a painter, and I still have a lot to learn for that. But
okay. So what's your favorite thing about WCC as a whole? Not just the automotive collision program. What do you like about coming to the Career Center that you can't get at Rushville High School?
Probably the hands-on work that I can do. I don't have to just do a lot of tests, do a lot of homework. It's pretty hands-on. Everything we do out there, I'm never bored out there. In class, I'm bored all day, but there's always something to work on.
Okay. What are you doing now in the program? What are you actually working on? What are your projects, and where do you think Mr. Eargang is going to have you go here soon?
Actually, right now we're learning about top coats, which would be the paint that you put on. We've been learning a lot of masking, so back taping, reverse taping, making sure you don't get any overspray anywhere. Right now I'm actually working on a Chevy Tahoe. I'm sanding that with body filler, making that look straight, making sure all the welds are covered up. Okay. So hopefully I'll be able to paint that.
Okay, Mr. Eargang, going back to the Tahoe, that's a school-owned vehicle that we're rebuilding from a salvage title, correct?
Correct.
That we will be selling to the community eventually here, hopefully by the end of next year. Give us a little detail on that particular vehicle and what we hope to offer with it.
Well, this is, as you know, a Tahoe is a very desirable vehicle. They're very pricey also, so it pays off maybe to get one that was, it was hit in the rear end, so there wasn't a lot of suspension, frame damage, stuff like that. So once we get this put back together, this vehicle, it's a 2013, I think it has like 30,000 miles on it. So once we get this back together, I think, and we have an auction or ever how we sell it, I think we're going to get a lot of attention on this, and it would be a good opportunity for someone to get a nice vehicle for a decent price.
It's also been built by students, which is a really neat touch on that.
And one thing about the students, when we work on a vehicle, they get to see that vehicle out in the public, and it's pretty fun to say, yeah, I worked on that vehicle. So again, that's part of the pride of doing something like this.
I think that's great, for sure. Jacob, what are your plans for the future after you graduate? What do you hope to pursue, and what's your future ambitions?
After I graduate, I think after my next year, I think Mr. Eargang will have prepared me to go out into a body shop maybe, try to further my career in auto body, maybe end up one day owning a body shop, which would be pretty cool. So,
do you have any ambition of pursuing secondary, post-secondary education, Northwest Ohio, technical college, anything like that?
We talk about this in class a lot. There are some shops that'll actually pay you to work in their shop, and they will train you for a pretty good amount of money. So if that doesn't work out, I'd probably go to UNO or some other secondary college. So.
Okay. What advice would you give to younger students who could have been you 2 years ago or 3 or 4? What would you tell them about their opportunities they have at the Career Center with what you've been exposed to and the experience you've had?
I'd probably tell them that to actually take an interest in the school. When I was looking at the school, I really didn't know anything about it, maybe read more into it. Once you get into the Career Center, I think they should actually like buy into the class, which is what I feel I've been doing. Actually work hard, try to get to the top of the class, be the best in the class. So,
any advice you give to younger students regarding auto collision, or if they want to pursue it? Something that you did as a young kid that kind of gave you a little bit of an idea of what you're doing now. You know, you said you painted bikes and tinkered with stuff. What is something that you did as a kid that kind of related to what you're doing now?
Like I said, painting bikes, working on something other than just playing video games, actually going out and doing something, taking stuff apart, putting it back together, just trying to prepare yourself to do better in the class.
Mr. Eargang, just a few seconds here left. Any parting words you'd like to say?
Well, just like Mr. Ray said there, prepare yourself. You know, you got to do something. You got to like something. The programs at WCC works. As I can attest, many years ago, this is the program I went through to get my career going, and I'm back here teaching again. So just, you know, buy into something. If you get the chance, don't waste it. Really, really buy into whichever program, because everyone is looking for technicians, whether it's construction, collision, automotive, welding, it doesn't matter. The world is out there waiting for the future technicians right now.
This time, I'd like to thank Mr. Ray and Mr. Eargang for their time. We would encourage you, if you'd like to visit the Career Center, to call and possibly set up time for a tour. Also, you can check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for viewing our Discover WCC episode. This is our last episode for the 2017-18 school year, and we hope to see you again in the fall. And any students wanting to enroll, be sure to see your counselors at the high school. And until we meet again, thank you, and thanks for watching.